Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. Today on the program, former Taraba State Governor, Reverend Father Jolly Nyame, jailed for 14 years as EFCC files amended 39-count charge against Orji Uzor in 3.2 billion naira fraud case. Dino Melaye sits with minority PDP senators as Kaduna Rep Adams Jagaba defects to PDP. Civil servants expressed concern over change in September deadline for minimum wage. And later on the show, another 8 persons killed by cattle rustlers in Kaduna State. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Sam Ibemere, and Asukwo James. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thanks for joining us. It is said in judicial parlance that the wheels of justice turn slowly, but grind exceedingly fine. To paraphrase, we will say justice, even if slow, is sure. So it is in the corruption trial of the former Taraba State Governor, Reverend Jolly Nyame. The corruption case filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on May 13th, 2007, just note that date, was finally determined at an FCT High Court in Abuja on Wednesday. The trial judge, Justice Adebukola Banjoko, found Reverend Nyame guilty of 27 out of 41 count charge in the 1.6 billion naira fraud case. The judge promptly sentenced the former governor to 14 years in prison without an option of fine. With this judgment, are we in for more high-profile convictions of corrupt leaders with renewed trial of some former governors and ex-ministers? For instance, the EFCC filed an amended 39-count charge against former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor in 3.2 billion naira fraud case. Babajide, let me quote Justice Banjoko. He said she was appalled by the thefts of public money. She said there's no moral justification for the level of outright thefts, and the court must therefore impose a statement. Yes. Hopefully as a deterrent to others who may be similarly inclined. The lawyers will say in Latin, reps ipsa loquitur, that's the fact on ground, speak for itself. In spite of the fact that this thing started in 2007, I'll call it abnormal. Yes, they said justice delayed, might be justice denied, or the way that will of justice might be slow, but Babajide, it is not normal for any case to start in 2007 and is terminating 2018.
You can even terminate 40 years from now. It depends on the nature, on the whimsical nature of the judiciary. The good thing is that we are beginning to see the effect, the positive effect of the ACJ, which makes it extremely difficult for you to have all those frivolous adjournments and all that, stay of proceedings, perpetual stay of proceedings and all that. So it's the effect of that we are seeing now.
That's the 2015 Administration of Criminal Justice
Act. And the NJC had begun to punish judges who connive with lawyers to have cases prolonged unnecessarily. In flagrant disobedience of the letters of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. So this is one of the gains of the ACGA. In June 2007, the EFCC arrested a good number of governors.
The class of
The class of 99.
99.
They had finished their 2 terms, and then they were arrested for corruption. Reverend Jolly Yame had only lost his freedom for 48 hours when he began to say, if you want me to refund some money, I'm ready to refund.
As in,
At that
he
time,
owned up.
I remember clearly. And that's why it continued to bother me that his case went on and on. Someone who lost his freedom for hours and was prepared
singing
to return what he looted. So I saw a prima facie case at that time. And my concern later on was, why haven't we been able to convict this man? And there are others like him who were arrested at the same time. Samino Turaki is there. Ojus Okalu.
Yeah, class of 99.
Yes. So what this woman has done is very significant. If we say we want to defeat corruption, we must demonstrate it. At every level, we must show an intolerance towards corruption.
Without an option of fine, Babajide.
Yes, it shouldn't be. She gave the maximum sentences for each of those offenses. You know, although they are to run concurrently. Maximum sentences. She showed no mercy. But I found it funny when she was talking about this level of looting. I said, this judge has not seen a lot. The level of looting. If
99, look at the figures. Small money.
There are people, there are still among his colleagues. Amongst his colleagues, there were people who looted far more. I pray that they will bring maybe some of their cases before this judge, because I want to see how she would describe those ones. So, because when I said 1.64, this is the figure. Look, it is just, there is a particular former governor, not part of the class of 99, who is on trial now. One of the items alone is more than 1 billion. You know, I've talked about that person a number of times. I don't want to mention his name. One of the items, you know, that is even more than 1.1 billion. So the judge will, in fact, the judge will almost suffer a seizure when she sees the quantum of money stolen by some of these people. And the brazenness of the class of 1999. The brazenness, because you see, they hadn't seen... Before 1999,
you used to speak of one other popular one, the Southeast.
Yes. He took money straight from the account of the state into the account of his company.
Yes. No contract, nothing.
No Ribadu established that. That's another one that looks like a prima facie case, a case of catching someone with a vice-like grip. He can't escape. So we are waiting. We are waiting. I hope that they will quickly be able to get these guys put in the slammer. Whether they have joined the APC or they have not joined the APC, they must put them on trial and ensure that they go to
washed.
No. If President Buhari, the Buhari that I know, even if you join the APC, if they bring your matter before him, he will not show mercy. I just pray that the people around the president will not give us the Buhari that we didn't know. Because leaders are always captive of the people around them. Either they are women or they are security people that they think their lives are in their hands. So I just hope that the people around the president will let the president retain his integrity and ensure that this anti-corruption war is sustained. It shouldn't be the president alone talking about it. We want to see action. Maybe as we go on, we'll see a new president, you know, in Southeast Asia, what that president is doing. You see clearly, when we begin to explain, you see clearly that we have not started fighting corruption. We have not started.
Sam, when you look at this judgment, because on our Democracy Day edition, when we were reviewing fight against corruption, Babajide actually accused the FCC of running after Yahoo boys. that those are the ones and bankers, but that he wants the conviction of politically exposed people.
Yes.
So 48 hours after this is happening, is this a sign of those things we should expect? Because if since 2007 we're here.
I want to believe that this is a very unique judgment. You took a quotation from Justice Banjuko's intervention on this matter. I would like, if you permit, for me to take two or three other paragraphs.
She was angry.
Yeah.
Why give you that judgment?
I'll take these excerpts. She said, citizens of Taraba had elected the defendant, a clergyman, in 3 separate occasions to govern them, which shows constant level of trust. The expectations must have been so high. She added, as a reverend, note the emphasis, and that is where the issue of morals comes in. As a reverend, he must have been seen as an epitome of morality, piety, and everything good. How will Reverend Inyame begin to explain to people of Taraba State his actions and inactions? Finally, she said, how can he justify causing such a colossal loss to the state? And I think that is the question that should bother all Nigerians. You see, the issue of corruption is one that has really hurt us so very bad. By 2012, a very prominent Nigerian, and we all know him, she used to be called Madame Due Process. I'm not sure that has changed. She said by 2012, Nigeria had lost $400 billion to corruption. You can imagine the size of money that we're talking about. The Department for International Development said that under the administration of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, $32 billion were stolen.
$32 billion.
Yes. These are records out there. We don't have the figures for the last 3 years. We can begin to imagine. So we have a huge problem on our hands. So for Inyame, I think that it's a good start. We want to see more of this happen. When Jide spoke, he talked about somebody from the Southeast. I think we should begin to put names to this. It's really out there in the open. Former Governor Ojiso Kalu. A very ridiculous case. Very ridiculous case. Where his former Director of Finance, One Udeogu, claimed that the state had a contract of 2-point-something billion to supply fairly used, or to import fairly used clothes, materials. And that contract was signed between the states, and SLOC, a company allegedly belonging to Governor Ojiso Kalu. I mean, we should just put this things the way they are.
Asuko, for your intervention here, when you want to, still this case is, if we are to look at the number of the politically exposed people, undergoing trial and without headway since 2003, 2007 till now, will this be in any way an encouragement? Should we just say it's just somebody, Justice Banjoko is just like Olubunmi Oyewole, that, she wants to dispense of this thing and do her job and so be it?
I think this is just like a pointer to the fact that the judiciary is now sitting up to his own responsibility. Because if you look at, in 2016, Inyame actually took the case. He moved even straight to the Supreme Court. He took his appeal to the Supreme Court and said, go back, and the judgment was it should start, with accelerated hearing. And immediately,
he fast-forwarded his own...
Yes, his own trial and his own conviction. And that is what we should be expecting, and that is what Nigerians want. We want people who loot and who steal to be prosecuted. Because if this continues, like the judge, Banjoko was the way I think it is one of the newspapers was trying to describe her expression, how she looked, the way she was delivering the judgment, as if she was really angry. So if all judges can take a cue from her.
That's 2007.
That is 2007, 11 years ago.
The figures.
By now, if it were to be another wicked judge, I think they even times it by what the economy is today. Yeah. Then so that honestly, the figure,
the amount of money,
yeah, exactly, because that time
the
and now, the value of naira
time.
and dollar and everything, they are even supposed to, multiply so that it will be larger, so that people will begin to hate when they see our collective money. They shouldn't be putting their hands into it. And if you look at it, this should be a test case to all politicians that is not going to be business as usual.
Yeah.
Because the judiciary from now, with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act that is on ground now, we are beginning to see people being, convicted.
Conviction.
Yes, and that is what we need. And thank God it's coming from this government. This is a plus for them. But they shouldn't say it is all rule. We need more people to be convicted. And then, like I used to say, if you, like Nyame now has been convicted, it's going to appeal. But once it gets to the Supreme Court and is being charged that he should go to jail, something in Taraba should be done and say this loot or this money or this project was from the loot, from Jolly Nyame's loot or something, that was recovered from him. So that people will begin to see it and run away
forward
from
now,
corruption.
Looking at this whole scenario, all those cases we have, and we're expectant, and one politician is paying one lawyer somewhere, and the lawyer is busy trying to stall, looking for loopholes.
SCNs.
Tahiru Bafarawa's case is just as old as this one. And no real progress has happened. So we have the youngest governor of that generation, and the Jigawa man, Samina Turaki.
That was another pathetic case.
In fact, I long for that day when they will all be put in prison, because that's where they belong. But I'm trying to show that we can actually be more aggressive in the war against corruption. The Prime Minister of Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad, is the oldest world leader now at 92. He's the 7th Prime Minister of Malaysia. 5 days after he came into office, he arrested 9 ministers. He shut down the airspace and the sea so that the corrupt people cannot escape. He arrested 144 businessmen for corruption. He arrested 50 judges for corruption. He arrested 200 policemen for corruption. He introduced tax reduction, which will take effect from June 2008. He brought back 50 billion of money stolen by corrupt people. Within 5 days, he recovered $50 billion stolen by corrupt people.
For example, Buhari tries that anything close to this.
No, it's just
this is a military regime.
It's just political
no, it's just the political will. Nobody will stop you from arresting people, whether they are your party or not. And that's just the point. If someone like Jolly Nyame could be allowing a contractor, could be paying out as much as 345 million to a contractor who did not supply anything. You know that all of that is still happening. Even in the matter of the IDP, the scandal the other day, we were told that some items were never supplied. So we need to be more aggressive. If a 92-year-old Prime Minister can be this aggressive, arrest 144 businessmen, then there's no reason why we should not be even more aggressive in this war. Whether they are in APCO or they are in PDP.
Any party.
Anybody who is corrupt has no honor, and it does not deserve to be treated like a decent human being. Let us continue to put them in jail. We thank this judge, and we hope others will take a cue from her.
Thank you so much, Justice Mojisola Adebukola. Still to come, Kogi West Senatorial District Senator Dino Melaye pulls another stunt? Find out after this break. It's the brand-breaking program of the year. Journalist Tanga, we're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. The crisis rocking the All Progressive Congress, APC, is resonating and causing ripples at the National Assembly. It has snowballed into open rebellion on the floor during a plenary on Wednesday. First, the embattled senator representing Kogi West at the Senate, Dino Melaye, resumed after his ordeal with the police over alleged gun running and attempted suicide. Rather than showing remorse, he was at his dramatic best. He opted to sit at the minority PDP section of the chambers, citing security reasons. He said he's no longer comfortable sitting with his APC colleagues. On the other side of the assembly, that is the House of Representatives, a member from Kaduna State, Adams Jagaba, defected to the People's Democratic Party. Jagaba cited injustice and continued suspension by the APC as the reasons for his defection. Are these signs of things to come for the APC? Let us hear from Dino Melaye himself.
I am no longer comfortable sitting here. So I want to ask Mr. President that you mandate the Senate that I am for tomorrow to look for a seat for me on this other divide of the chamber. And that before you do that today, through the help of my walking stick, I will take a comfortable seat close to Papa General Senator David Mark, pending when you get me a comfortable seat on this side.
Let's start from Dino Melaye. You know, yesterday, there's this passion to always break news. Breaking news. Dino Melaye crosses carpets to PDP and everything. Now, this is a kind of clarification. But we know it's like a mind game. It will definitely come to this.
Yes.
But Dino is just giving us a picture of what to come. What is the meaning of it no longer feels comfortable? We're sitting down with his colleagues in the APC that he wants to go sit down with Papa. That is retired General David Mark. I don't get.
It's one day, one movie scene. Cordino. He knew what he was doing. He cannot defect now without expecting to be challenged.
Exactly.
Because the APC lawyers would demand that he should
Lose his seat.
Why? Because the crisis must be present at the national level for you to be able to justify a defection, you know? So if he's saying that, oh, I'm defecting because there's crisis in APC, there's no crisis at the national level. At the various state chapters, we have crisis. But for Dino and others like him, they would rather wait until the end of the convention. Let us see what happens at the convention. Because we also know that the tendencies that have supported Oyegun all this while are also planning to bring a candidate from the South-South. So we don't know how things will eventually pan out, but it is out there now that Oshomole will not be the only person to contest. They are trying to bring their candidate. How this affects the entire convention.
Not Oyegun himself.
We don't know. Oyegun will not contest since the president has made it clear that he will not back him. But his own supporters want to bring someone else. So we'll see what happens. But clearly, Dino, there's no way Dino will remain in the APC for so long. They know that when people say, oh, you can go this and that, the truth is, will the party give someone like Dino a fresh ticket? In a season in which governors are running the parties like God, as if they are God. will Abelo give Dino a ticket? Will he? Will the little man who is the governor of Kaduna State agree to let the governor with the bush, senator with the bushy hair return to the Senate?
Even
someone who was swearing at them publicly, inviting the anger of God against them. Will he have the large heart to say, "Oh, let these people get a ticket to go back to"? No. So those guys know that their days are numbered. So ultimately, to further their own political agenda,
because they will want to come back to the Senate.
Of course. They will want to go to parties where their interests will be better represented, not in a party where they are sure that they are not going to be given the ticket. In the last dispensation, only a little over 30 senators succeeded in going back.
Out of 109.
Yes, it's always been like that from Obasanjo era. They target senators that are falling
out of favor.
Out of favor with the leadership of the party, and they ensure that in the course of the primaries they are dealt with. It's even worse now.
And that is enriching our democracy in any way.
Yes, because
it's quality.
Quality representation is something that you develop over time. Even legislative language is peculiar.
Yeah, exactly.
Legislative processes, you must learn it. It's not what you just acquire in 1 or 2 days. You must learn it over time. That's why the Americans, you have some senators who have been in the American Congress for more than 50 years. For more than 50 years. And once they are in a jam over any issue, they refer to that person. They say, "Oh, advise us, what do we do?" And whatever that person says is like law. It's like the law. So that is the way it is. But in our own case, the ugly nature of our politics ensure that we spend so much money to bring up lawmakers, but after like 4 years, they are kicked out.
Sam, when you want to look at this case of Dino, and it's like a prediction of what will happen, because Judy has given us the technical know-how, but somehow from the congresses, from everything they've done, from the states, it's clear that most of these politicians, that their governors might not allow them to get the ticket.
Do you think Abelo will allow Faleke
in Kogi states?
Will he?
It's you can't.
Yeah, I think the facts are very clear. Nobody wants to commit suicide. In areas where...
So it's inevitable Dino leaves.
Most likely. We don't want to play God on this matter, but I can tell you that the average politician, anywhere, I don't think Nigeria is an exception, like to cut attention. But what makes our case a bit peculiar is that we are going into an election year. So the polity is heating up. What you see happening is pushing, and shoving, people trying to position themselves in a manner that they can extract maximum attention, and play themselves into a situation where they can have a say in political outcomes. So I would agree that we are getting a signal of what is likely to play out from the early days of the local government congresses.
Let me quickly take this call. Okay. Dari is calling us from Kaduna State. Thank you for joining us, Dari.
Elder Dari, please.
Okay, Elder Dari, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I think this Green Mela issue, it's rather unfortunate that APC are treading the way they are treading. It's rather unfortunate. The people are being allowed to hold the state party to ransom. I think there should be a level playing field for every candidate. Even if you are not in good, debar the people from good and quality representation. So the state governors should not hold, properly, to ransom. They should allow.
All right, I think I get the drift of Dadari, but it's all about interest.
Yes, and the point that we should note here is that none of the guys that have been mentioned is going to surrender without a fight. That is basic. And I think the early signals, like I said, are there for anybody to see. From the congresses to what the elements who tag themselves the new PDP within the ruling party APC, are trying to do. I see Dino and the likes as foot soldiers. The generals are waiting behind to move. And the generals
at the right time.
At the right time, we know them. The Sarakis, the Dugaras, you understand? I mean, it was surprising to see them lead discussions with the vice president. They are also insisting. So it's clear that the big masquerades are beginning to show themselves.
Not just, what's the name of this man again?
Exactly.
Baraje.
Yeah, so now the signals are clear. They are beginning to show themselves. I mean, if it's Saraki, it's Dogara, and some other, Kwakwanso will walk into a meeting and say, and say, look, we are dissatisfied and we think that there is need for some kind of radical change. That is what we begin to witness. And I think that the months ahead, leading up to the elections, portends of very critical times for our polity.
Let's look at the situation in Kaduna State. I don't think any of the senators, or the 2 senators from APC, I don't think any of them will get their ticket back. It's rested. No. But Governor Nasir El-Rufai is faced with so many battles at the same time. You are having a problem with the Southern Kaduna people.
With everybody.
The thing is, as a politician, you shouldn't, be so overwhelmed with so many battles, because eventually you won't even know where your enemies will come from. And it's just so unfortunate. He's just taking so many battles.
So do you think it's strategic for this House of Rep member to go to PDP? Because it seems that's the way to go.
Jagaban has never lost any election in any political party. Go and check it.
He has never.
Sounds more like
Jagaban. No. Because he knows his onions. He knows how to get his ticket. He will get it, and his people will vote for him again. So just forget about that one. And I from what I heard, I think he's going to send it. So if he's going to send it, people will still vote for him. Any party at all. So El-Rufai should know that he has so many people he will be contending with.
Shehu Sani has declared that he's going for governorship.
Governorship. So
that means he's not going within the APC.
No, it means he's going to move to another party, whether the Action Democratic Party or any other party. So, but El-Rufai has serious battles to fight.
Okay.
He's not just going to be easy.
Interesting times ahead.
I think that I need to just make a little clarification. In 2003, Obasanjo ensured that Jagaba was defeated. Okay. That money that was brought before the House of Reps, the bribe that the House of Reps accused Mr. Fix-It of bringing to them, over the, third time, at the time when they wanted to bribe them for third time, they brought money.
Ghana must go.
It was, Jagaba was the chairman of the House of Reps Committee on Anti-Corruption, and he was the one who paraded that money.
So he became a marked man.
So Obasanjo ensured that he didn't return, but he cannot be defeated in a free and fair election. And another thing is, that whole area, Southern Kaduna, belongs to the PDP. It's difficult for APC to win any election there.
Even local government election.
Because it belongs
counting machine.
It belongs to the PDP.
So he was in PDP before coming to APC.
So he left because he was cheated. He left because he was cheated in the primaries. So
he went to APC and won.
And he went to APC. Usually when your people are with you and you are cheated and your people are with you, they will support you. So he went there and won. Now he's gone back, and there was a good reception for him in Zonkwa. People received him. They set ablaze many groups. They say, "Welcome home, our lawmaker." So, and if he decides to contest for the Senate, as is being speculated, I'm certain that he's going to win.
That's it. Now, the back and front motion over government officials is casting darker cloud of doubt over the minimum wage question in Nigeria after a cheering news from the head of service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, that President Muhammadu Buhari is committed to implementing a new minimum wage for civil servants. Another story emerged. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, said the implementation may not materialize in September as earlier planned. According to Senator Ngige, the September date is for conclusion of negotiation. But workers won't hear of it. Some civil servants say it's amount to double standard to renege on the promise and urge governments to rather speed up the process. Sam, I knew it all along that, look, this might not see the light of the day in 2018. 2018?
2018.
Okay. And a budget has been passed now?
Yeah.
I don't think the new minimum wage was included. So
yes,
that means the prospect of even implementing it
is very, very slim. I think that the fractured Nigerian Labour Congress played into the hands of government.
the fractured.
Yes. I say so because, we're aware there are two factions, the Ajero faction and the Wabara faction, and they are still yet, they are yet to, reconcile. So government saw an opening, and they've taken full advantage of it. And that's why you have this dilly-dally over the issue of minimum wage, which legitimately is due the Nigerian worker. Because the laws of the land say every 5 years, they have a right to demand for a review. The very last one was signed 2011 by, Goodluck Jonathan. So it's a legitimate demand. But the workers have played into the hands of government, who soon after the fuel price, was adjusted upwards, promised that some palliatives, were going to be put in place, including, salaries, salary adjustments and all that. And then there were talks about setting up tripartite committee, to get into negotiations and all that. But because the workers themselves have not been very united about it, government just continued to dilly-dally. So
aren't we in a catch-22 situation here? In one breath, it's not reasonable and it's not realistic for any human being in Nigeria of 2018 to survive on 18,500 naira. In another breath, the country is not buoyant. For you to implement a 65,000 minimum wage, you'll be creating a lot of problem for most of these states.
Yes, of course. I'm even wondering how at the federal level they can handle the situation, because at the federal level already the wage bill is above 150 billion a month.
Every month.
So 150 billion plus is higher, even higher now, because I know that there were some negotiations that government had with some labor unions, for which salaries have gone up. So if you have 150 billion, 150 even in 5 places, let's say 150 in 6 places, you're already talking about $1 trillion or so. 150 billion. Let's say 150 billion in 12 places. 150 billion in 12 places. You'll be spending more than
$1 trillion.
$1 trillion.
How realistic is that?
On salaries of
how many? How many?
Just a fraction of the Nigerian people.
They can't have up to 500,000.
No.
They can't be up to 500,000 civil servants in
Nigeria. They can't be.
sometime in 2014, the figure that was banded was a little over 800,000.
I doubt it.
Yeah,
you count even soldiers, policemen. Yes.
Even though the government was claiming that the figure was 1.2.
talking about public servants and civil servants.
Yes.
So that's why it will be high. So if you have a wage bill nearing 200 billion a month, by the time you increase minimum wage, that wage bill could top 250 billion a month. If it is around 150 billion plus now, 160 at this time. So it could top 250 billion by the time the minimum wage goes up. If we do not rationalize, if we do not retrench workers. So in 4 months, you could be spending 1 trillion to pay.
I think you are even underestimating.
Yes, no,
because
these are just conservative.
18,000 naira minimum wage, and somebody is saying, give us 40,000, give us 50,000 or 60. Look at from 18 to 40 per person.
No, what also happens is once you increase the minimum wage for the lowest ranked workers,
it should just go like that.
Others too will have some money added to theirs, so that it will not alter the pay structure.
It will not be modified.
If they should add like 20, maybe or 30,000 or 40,000 to your salary, maybe you could invariably be earning the same thing as me if they don't add to my own. So they always do it on a graduated basis. Yes. Every time there's minimum wage increase, that's what happens. You need to add to the salaries of the people who are on top of them, no matter how little, so that they don't catch up with those people, so that someone who is on level 7 won't be earning the wages of a level 10 officer. And the level 10 officer must not be stagnant. So there is real cost implication to increase in minimum wage. But as I said the last time we discussed this, I knew that the government would try to prolong this. Yes. You know, I said it at that time that government would want 2019. Oh, you see, we are approaching an election year. This is a dicey time to handle a matter like this. That's why I'm not surprised that it was not even factored into the budget.
It was deliberate.
If there was a deliberate attempt or deliberate effort to get this thing done, they will have factored it into the minimum wage. Yeah. And from what the minister said, September is not the month, despite the fact that the vice president announced during May Day that the minimum wage matter will be resolved in the third quarter. Now we've had the Minister of Labour saying no, that in the third quarter in September, what will happen is that agreement will have been reached. So agreement can be reached, but payments may not start.
Finally on this one, what will Ekiti do? What will Osun do? What will Zamfara? What will they do if you start paying 50-something thousand naira?
Maybe we'll have to start merging states together so that they will be able to meet up. Because I know the NLC is insisting that they are on 66,500. And they've been able to go around the geopolitical zones and they've been able to come up with 66,500.
As a unified...
But it's the government that is yet to come out with a figure. So if they don't come out with a figure, and states like Ekiti, states like Osun, who are already battling with how to pay salaries on 66, there's no how that they can survive.
Because Benga is calling us from Abuja.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Ayo.
Good evening, Benga. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. My name is Benga from Abuja.
Okay.
You see, no civil servant we expect that money to be paid by September, because you know that government work by budget. It's not in this any increment. It's not the increment. The actual value is not known and it's not in the budget. What will happen is that when the agreement is reached by September, October, they may now pay them arrears by next year, and also some states may not pay that 56, and nobody should expect them to give them 56. It's negotiation.
It becomes a law. Once it's signed,
it becomes a law. It's just like the 18,000.
You can't go below 30 and can't be more than 40. No. That's what I know. You can't go below 30 and can't be more than 40. It's a
minimum wage, Joe.
It's minimum. It's minimum.
And it's a law.
Yes, it's a law. It's a minimum.
Them cannot be below 30 and cannot be more than 40. No government can pay that 65 or 56. No, even federal government cannot pay it.
Thank you, Benga, for your concern.
So if you look at it, even in some countries, they even pay per hour.
No, we have to move on.
Once it's agreed, the executive will take a bill before the Senate.
And then it becomes a law.
A law. Okay, for some times now, armed bandits and cattle rustlers have carried out wanton killings in Beningwari axis of Kaduna State. Now, the killers are spreading their tentacles to neighboring communities in the states. On Tuesday, cattle rustlers attacked a village in Chikun, local government area of the state, killing 8 persons. Police spokesman in the state, Hussein Aliyu, confirmed that the killing in Chikun, which shares boundary with Benengwari, but he said 3 persons died in the attack, with 4 injured. We asked, when will this nightmare stop with the people of Kaduna State? Kaduna State is like competing with Zamfara states in terms of, especially these Benengwari people, in terms of this killings.
When you talk about states that, in the north where there is insecurity, Kaduna certainly ranks in the top 5. There's no way by which you can do the survey. If Kaduna does not rank in the top 5, then you have done a shilly-shally job. Because every weekend we hear that bandits have killed people in Benengwari.
Same place.
Bandits have hijacked luxury bus and taken passengers prisoner or hostage. That's happening. In one day, they kidnapped 87 passengers on the Kaduna-Funtua highway.
87.
So we just, 87 passengers. We just hope that something can be done. For those who are saying, oh, it's the media that is making this look bigger than what it really is, we will not stop talking about it. You can't button up our mouths. As long as they are killing people, we will keep talking about it because
we
are not fabricating. It's there. The Nigerians who are being killed, they are not of inferior species. They are human beings like the rest of us. So government has a responsibility to stop the needless killing of people in Kaduna. That Chikun local government, part of it is the highway that runs to Abuja. These criminals break into people's homes to forcefully kidnap people. You know? So it's terrible that this continues to happen. And the government must show that it is on top of the situation by bringing these killers to their knees. That's what the Chief of Army Staff told his troops to do. He issued an ultimatum the other day, but just like the ultimatum that he issued to Shekau, this one too will go without the principal culprits being brought to book.
Sam, what do you make of this situation in Kaduna State?
It's really very sad. We've had so much bloodletting. And just like Jide said, we can only hope, pray, and plead with the government to take very decisive action. But I also would like to look at the issue of killings, from a larger perspective. Sometime in 2017, the governor of Borno State painted a very torrid picture when he said over 100,000 persons had been killed. Only very recently, the media reported that between January and April this year, in the Middle Belt area, 901 persons had been killed. Governor Tom, in a very recent statement uttered by him, said 492 persons had been killed between January, in the first 5 months of this year, really. So it tells you how terribly sad the situation is. Terrible, terrible. And we have a situation on our hands where we don't have enough soldiers, enough policemen to go around and take care of these things. As we speak, Ayo, the Nigerian army is simultaneously carrying out operations in 10 different locations in the country.
Thank you. Sam.
So it's a terrible situation. So everywhere.
So Lagos, the Abo Piments in Lagos.
Let's go. It's just a very sad situation. Anybody that is saying that we are talking too much, I think that person doesn't love this country, because human lives is very, very valuable. In this Chikom they said, from what I gathered, there are vigilante and hunters who were killed, and they brought out their names. Are those names not Nigerians? They were Nigerians. So the government should come out and find a permanent solution to it. Kaduna state government should leave politics. Like I know the last time I said the Kaduna state government should think about, especially that building, the roads there is terrible. The roads to that area is terrible.
On the final
so
note,
we must find a
on the final note, security is going to play a lot of role in terms of the next election. Especially, you know, it's going to be the front burner, the topic of debates.
Yes, if I'm worried about the way foreigners stream into our country, because these foreigners are the ones involved in cattle rustling, a lot of them, the killer headsmen, killing innocent farmers.
This morning, I saw Arabs, as in those Arabs that used to beg on the streets in
They
Lagos.
come in, our borders are extremely porous. And because they are extremely porous, the people will come in unhindered. And a lot of them will take to criminality. They are the ones who come to kill our people. The president said it, that some of the Fulani that are killing our people are not Nigerian Fulanis. The president said it in Taraba. That some of them are from Mauritania, they are from Mali, they are from Niger. So how do they come into our country? What is the job of the immigration officers? What is their job? A lot of the immigration officers are here in Lagos doing nothing. They should post them to those border posts and stop the infiltration of our country by these undesirable elements. You shouldn't be calling to kill our people anyhow.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Asuko James, thank you. Sam Ibemere, thank you. And Babajide Kolade Ostojo, thank you. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on all our platforms showing on the screen. You can also catch us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. God bless Nigeria.